It's Sunday, Yudalid. Excuse me, Sunday Yudalid Shvat Tovshanayim Vav. We are in the Mamar Vayihiyu Chayei Sara Tovshan Yud Gimel in Teres Menachem Sefer Amamorim Tovshan Yud Gimel. On page, we are up to page Mem Gimel. I'm sorry, I apologize. We're up to page Mem Aleph.
Cool.
We began Ois. I apologize again.
You got to the end of Mem.
We're up to the top of page of Mem Beis. Ubir Ha'inyan. That's where we are up to. Brief synopsis. The pasuk states, Vayihiyu Chayei Sara, and the life of Sarah was 100 years, and 20 years, and 7 years. The years of the life of Sarah. That's what the pasuk says. The question was, why enumerate the years in such a manner that by each segment you mention the word Shana? The pasuk mentions the word Shana, year. So it's sort of you're breaking it down, and then it's sort of you're encapsulating it all together. Shnei Chayei Sara. You combine them all together. First you fragment them, and then you combine them. The Rebbe brought the Zohar that there was an inherent difference between Sarah and all the other imahos, or all the other women that are mentioned in the Torah.
I don't mind if you open the window there, it's okay.
Concerning, Sarah is the only woman in the Torah concerning whom her years are enumerated in such a manner. Whereas it comes to Rachel or to Leah or to the others, you don't find that the Torah tells us how long they lived. So the Zohar explains that Sarah had the unique characteristic of descending into this world and ascending from this world intact. And not only intact, spiritually intact. Not only intact, but also affecting the world and lifting the world, bringing tikkun, bringing repair into the world. Contrasting that with Chava and Leah, for example, where Chava came into this world and tried to do her thing to lift it, as it were, and got tangled up with a snake. She stumbled. Noach also drank wine, which was again the idea of trying to be involved with the matters of this world and to lift them, to bring repair. And yet, what happened? Vayishkar, Vayisgol, he got drunk and negative consequences ensued. Whereas Sarah nachsis v'salkas, Sarah descended and ascended. As it says in the verse, Vayal Avram Mitzrayim hu v'ishtei v'kesav v'kaspei zehava yomiknei, and so on and so forth. That Avram descended into Egypt, representing the lowest ebb in the spiritual sense of this world, and he ascended from there intact. He and his wife and his belongings, the idea of extracting the netzutzos, the divine sparks of kedusha, of energy, the godly energy that is present in Mitzrayim, managing to descend in there, extracting them, and coming out intact. That is why Sarah merited l'chayin Eloi into the celestial life. That's in short. That's what the Zohar says. The Rebbe explains that this gave the strength for the Bnei Yisrael in Golus Mitzrayim, in the exile of Egypt, to experience that exile in a manner which not only did it not affect them, but they were ultimately able to exit from there with great wealth. Meaning to say also, the idea of extracting the great wealth being a symbol of the Nitzutzos Kedusha, the divine energy that is embedded deeply within the exile of Egypt. And that gives the strength for Yidden in every generation, for the Jewish people in every generation, to do the same thing. How do you accomplish that? For that, the Rebbe says that when a Yid engages in Avodas HaBerurim, in this divine service known as refinement, meaning to say interacting with the world, and lifting from the world the divine sparks of energy that fell, as we know, from Toihu, from the world of chaos, right? Not only do you redeem, so to speak, these divine sparks of energy and bring them back to their source, but through that process you also add value and force and strength in the side of Kedusha, in the side of holiness. Says the Rebbe, how does that happen? He says, because those divine energies that you extract through Avodas HaBerurim are from Toyu, which is beyond Tikkun. And therefore, Kedusha is already where things are normalized, that starts with Tikkun, so to speak. Whereas these fragments, having stemmed from Toyu, by redeeming them, by lifting them, you add something that Kedusha in its own state, in its conscious state, as it were, doesn't contain on its own. How do we have the strength to do this Avedus Berurim? So we go back to Avram. Avram was first called Avram without a hay. And then when he became Av Hamoin Goyim, the father of the multitude of nations, the father of Geirim, the father of converts representing also the idea of Birurim, sparks of energy, Kedusha, that are deep in Golus, in exile, and you extract them and you lift them. For that, Hashem changed his name and he gave him the name Avraham. He added a hay. Av Hamoin Goyim, the father of the multitude of nations. Why hay? Why specifically the letter hay? Because that represents this tremendously high, lofty energy that a person needs in order to descend into these places and extract and engage and extract and lift them back to Kedusha. Why specifically hay? That's what we're up to. Top of page Mem Beis Ubir
Just
Ha'inyan.
one question.
Yes, sir.
Sarah was a neutral figure when she went into Egypt. There was no activity on her part. She was taken, she was released. It's not like the Yidden who...
The Medrash says, Chazal say, Avraham Megayer es ha'anoshim, v'Sara Megayer es ha'noshim. That's what Chazal say. Yes, you're right in the sense that Avraham was probably the more dominant figure, as it were, right? But she was, when the Malachim came, who ran, she went and she went, what does it say over there? Lushi Vasi Uges.
Yarat Sarah. No.
That was Anar.
Yeah.
But I think the pasuk also says that he told her to prepare whatever. Kitzah, she was a full partner.
Yeah.
So why specifically hay? In fact, her name was also changed from Sarai to Sarah, also a hay.
Yeah.
But here he's focusing on Avraham. Ubira in the Vayihiyu Chayei on top of page Mem Beis to explain this idea in more detail. Hinei ha'ois shenitayis v'la Avraham, the letter that was added to Avraham, kedei sheyihiya av hamoin goyim, so that he should be the father of the multitude of nations. Who ois hey davke was specifically the letter hey. Shehi, the letter hey is osa klila, a light letter. The leis bo mashosha, which has no substance to it. This is a quote from Akdamus. Are you familiar with Akdamus? Akdamus is a liturgical poem, as it were. Yes, which is recited in many shuls and shvuos, and it's a dialogue. The author describes the greatness of the Eibishter, and then the greatness of the angels, and so on and so forth, and then a dialogue between the Jewish people and the nations of the world, and how wonderful things are going to be in the time to come. So, and it's according to the order of the Aleph Beis. So it says over here in the beginning, when it talks about the greatness of Hashem, before I begin to speak, desiring to utter words of praise, I first request permission and authorization. And it goes on and on and on. He speaks about Hashem, his might is eternal, it cannot be described adequately. And then he says, without exertion, he's talking about the creation of the world, how Hashem created the world. Without exertion, without fatigue, he perfected it with the most easily articulated letter, which has no substance. And that's a reference to what? To the letter Hey, as we're going to learn in a minute. The Rebbe quotes the Chazal that says, Bihi Borom, Behei Borom. Hashem created the world with the letter Hey. It's Yud Kei Vav Kei. What? Sorry?
Who wrote that?
A man called Reb Meir, something, I forgot his
I have a safe about
title. It was the time of Rashi. He lived in Europe, in Worms. And I think he was killed. Kiddush Hashem. But he wrote it in the time, he lived in the time of Rashi, and it became a very was very well received by all the Kehillas. Lubavitch doesn't, Min Chabad is not to say it, although the Rebbe used to say it. And the Rebbe said, even though it's not Min Chabad, but his father used to say it, so therefore, I believe, from memory, that's what he said, because it was his father's minig, so he carried on. In fact, the Frierdiker Rebbe was once reading Akdamus. I'm not sure if it was on Shavuos. Maybe it was on Shavuos, I'm not sure. And the Rebbe Rashab happened to walk by or see him doing this. He says, what are you doing? He says, I'm reading Akdamus. He says, why? He says, I want to learn how to write, because it's liturgical, it's written very beautifully. It's a long liturgy, and it's written in the most magnificent way. It ends in the same manner with a saw, very, very beautiful. So the Rebbe Rashab told him that you don't need that for this purpose. You'll have that ability anyway. And of course, the Friedrich Rebbe had this most tremendous pen. But be that as it may, that's Akdomus. So
just to tell you that, you know, these two young Sephardi guys who come here every now and again, friends of my wife's, the sons of their father was a Rav from Morocco. His name is Rabbi Biton. And I've got a sefer that he wrote. And the first person you gave the sefer to was the Rebbe. He took it, and he took it to the Rebbe. And he went to the Vatican to research it, all sorts of things. I can let you have it.
It's a book on the Akdomus, you mean?
Whole book on the Akdomus.
You know, it's tremendous. There's tremendous power, spiritual power in this period. It's all based on Chazal and on Torah. It's all, you know, these were great men. But that's, so he says over there, this quote, Asa Klila Lesbe Mashasha, there it says Meshishusa, but that's the quote from Akdomus. A light letter, what did I say over here? The lightest of all letters.
It has no substance.
That has no substance. Hey, what does that mean? Hey is breath. When you just go, that's hey. Every letter possesses that. I mean, what's a letter constructed of? It's constructed of breath, and then the manipulation of various parts of your either throat or your palate or your tongue or your whatever, different parts of the vocal orifice, if you will. But so inherently, you say for I'm talking about not how you describe the letter, but how you say the letter, how you express the letter. Ba, ga, da, right? They all possess this hey aspect to it. So every letter has the hey, and hey is the most easily expressed letter. That's it. That's a hey. There's none whatsoever. But here he uses different. He uses the words, and it wrote many times. I say this, that it's the lightest because of the hevel of the breath. I'm having a little bit of difficulty with that, but let's see what the Rebbe says. I mean, so the ois hey, the letter hey, is the lightest of all letters. It has no substance. Upirush asa klilahu. What does it mean? It's the lightest of all letters. Shahahevel hu mu'et bo yosef. Mi b'chol ha'esis. The hevel, the breath, is the least in it from all other letters. The least breath of in expressing a letter is in the hey. The hine. But ois aha shem agaron, because in the letters of the alphabet are divided not only into 22. But also they're bunched into groups. There are letters that are guttural, and that's what he says over here. Achha, aleph, ches, hey, ayin are the guttural letters, right? So from the guttural letters, sheheme hagoron, which come from the throat, hahevel hu b'miyut yeser mibishara esis. These guttural letters have the least of all breath in them from all the other letters. U'ba'is hey, hahevel mu'et yeser gam esis achha. And within the guttural letters of achha, hey is the least hevel, the least breath of them all. Has the least breath of them all. Vahainu she'ois hey yesh lo rak oisius. I'm sorry. Vahainu she'ois hey yesh lo rak achiza mu'etas be'yeser b'gashmis. In other words, another way of saying it is that the letter hey has very little hold in physicality. It's the most spiritual of all letters. The ois zu nitoisfala Avraham, and it is this letter specifically that was added to Avraham, kidei sheyihi ab hamayin goyim, so that he should be the father of the multitude of nations. Why? Because this letter, being that it has least hold in Gashmis, represents a spiritual power which is beyond Gashmis, beyond physicality, namely Toihu, the power from the world of Toihu, from chaos. Says the Rebbe, 1 second. So you mean to say that this is unique? It's extra creative, as it were. It's outside of creation, right? Outside the norm. Says the Rebbe, but however we find, we have to close, although we find that generally, the general creation of the world is through the letter Hey, as our sages say, in Gemara, in the Talmud, on the verse, in Genesis, which says these are the occurrences or the description of events of the heavens and the earth, bihi bara, when they were created So Chazal say Behi Baram,
Hey, but
Behei Baram. It's another way of saying that they were created with the letter Hey.
yeah.
From Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, they were created with the letter Hey. Right? Ve'olam hazeh nivra b'eis Hey. As we also know, this physical world was created with the letter Hey. What does that mean? We know that in terms of the four realms of Atzilus, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiyah, they each correspond to another letter of Shem Havaya.
Yeah.
Yud is Chachma. That's Atzilus, corresponds to the dominant Sphira. In Atzilus is Chachma, that's the Yud. Hey is Bina, that's the dominant Sphira where? Ema Yelah Mekanan B'Kursaya, that's in the world of the seat, of the throne, which is where? Bria. Vav is the six Midas. That's dominant where? In Yetzirah. And the final Hey is dominant where? In Elam Asiyah. So what are you coming and telling me here that what? That Hey represents this Ruchnius aspect, the least of all Gashmias, the least of all physical letters, and therefore it represents this superpower, as it were, this greater force that doesn't exist in the normal course of things, when we find that the Hey, in fact, was the one that is responsible through which Hashem created, Behei Baram created worlds, generally, and that and even more so, it is the Hey that represents Elam Asiyah. Right? I'm sorry, this world was created in the letter Hey.
Yeah.
Says the Rebbe Mikol Makim, nonetheless, there's a difference. When we talk about Hey in the context of creation, creation is through the clothing of the letter Hey in the other letters. Those letters have a greater association to physicality. Which is the idea of Hashem creating the world with 10 utterances. What does it mean, 10 utterances? If you say the world was created with the letter Hey, then why these 10 utterances? This, that, and Hashem said, let there be light, and Hashem said, let there be, and so on and so forth. So he didn't just say, Hey, and the worlds came into being. So it means to say that the letter Hey clothed itself in the other letters, through which the 10 utterances were constructed. These utterances representing divine energies, right? And that's how the world was created. The creation through the letter Hey is through the fact that it clothed itself in all the aspects, the various aspects, the detailed letters of the 10 utterances. So yes, the Hey is there, but not in its pure form, but rather as it clothes itself, it's the force that clothes itself, represents the power of Hashem, that clothes itself in the 10 divine utterances through which Hashem created the world. This is not the case concerning the letter Hey, which was given to Abraham. Over there, what was given to Abraham? The Hey in its pure sense, in its purest form. As the Hey is beyond clothing itself in the other letters. What does that mean in other words? The efflux, this infusion of strength, this power that was given to Avraham, in order for him to become the father of the multitude of nations, is such a drawing down of divine energy, such an infusion of divine energy, which is beyond and has no association to physicality at all.
So are you saying he got that, so to speak, the higher Hey, or the Hey, Yud Hey, he got that Hey? Or are you saying, for example, that he just got the Hey in its pristine form, not as it's combined with other letters? The lower Hey, but not as it's combined with other letters, or did you get the higher Hey?
It must be the Hey as it's beyond the normal Yud Kei Vav Kei that we understand. Because as we just mentioned, Yud Kei Vav Kei, or let's put it this way, it's the Hey in its pure form. The Yud Kei, when we say, let's put it this way, when we say, first of all, the Hashem's name Yud Kei Vav Kei you find in different levels. You have the Havaya Tata and you have Havaya Ilah. Okay, you have Havaya as it stands in the Esesphiris, and then you have Havaya as it stands in Keser and even beyond.
Sure.
Which Hey is he referring to over here? He's certainly referring to the Hey which is outside the Yud Kivavki as we know it in terms of the Yud Kivavki that's prevalent in creation. When you say Yud is in Atzilus, Hey is in Bria, Vov is in Yitzira, and Hey is in Malchus, right? That's the norm. Here we're talking about a Hey that's beyond that. Which where it slots in terms of Shem Havaya, I have to check that out. But it's certainly beyond the normal force of godliness that's present in the world. That's the. We have another 3 minutes, or we gotta go? Huh? Okay, another 2 lines.
Given a chance to start the time. He's very anxious. He wants to start.
No, I'll be there. Come on, 2-3 minutes. Go on.
He's very anxious. He wants to start the
The
time.
Rebbe is going to go in now into another point where he's going to say that the fact that hay is an asa klila, has no substance, is a deficiency, not a virtue.
A deficiency.
Yeah. It says in the simple sense when you say it has no substance, it's deficient. So why are we saying over here that it's got this powerful force? He says those are two sides of the coin. Exactly. That's the point that I'm going to show you.
Surely every hay has the potential, ultimately, sits in the same hay, to prepare a full mass.